You'll probably know as we go on. Okay? Let's begin in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Come,
Holy Spirit, fill the hearts of your faithful, and kindle in us the fire of your love. Send forth your Spirit, and we shall be created, and you shall renew the face of the earth.
O
God, who by the light of the Holy Spirit instructs the hearts of the faithful, grant us by the same Holy Spirit we may become truly wise and rejoice in his consolation. Through Christ our Lord. Amen.
The Father,
Father,
the
Son,
Son,
and Holy Spirit.
Amen. Okay. Thank you. All right. So, man, I had a busy morning.
Good, good
For
service.
those of you that were at Mass, well, thank you, but I was also the altar boy and trying to get the celebrating priest to know where to stand.
What was the priest from?
He was from Harrisburg. He just came in this morning and asked if he could celebrate with
Oh,
Father.
really?
Yeah, so,
You gave the homily with two priests there. That'd be some pressure, dude.
No, I'll tell you what pressure is doing it in Spanish.
Oh,
That's pressure.
No, there'd be no pressure for me.
Yeah, when you get up there not speaking the native language in front of people that do, that's pressure. Because all you can do is say it wrong. Yeah. If I say the gospel wrong, it's okay because they know the gospel. But in the homily, I say something 180 degrees backwards, that could be a real bad thing to do, right? And I don't even know it. You know, I'm doing the best I can. Yeah. So, well, good morning. So it's a new year, and prayer is one of those things that for many of us, he described a spectrum of prayer in the book, and for many of us, it can be something that we do very well, and we do it regularly, and we really, or it can be on the other end of the spectrum, something we don't do hardly at all, or maybe at all. And I would guess that many of us are kind of in between. We are better sometimes than other times. And he kind of paints this picture of no matter where you are, you can probably do better. And it's a wonderful time of year to be thinking about doing better, right? It's a new year. So one of the commitments that is always a wonderful time to make one is Lent. Ash Wednesday is literally a month from today, February 10th. So that's one thing I ask you to consider is, as you approach Lent, think about something you can add to your prayer life. Okay? And Matthew Kelly has all sorts of wonderful suggestions in this section about how to go about that. But I think just pick something that you feel, as he says, where you can say, I can do that, and know it. Don't say, I'm going to say A, B, C, D, and F, and G, and go, after the first day, how am I ever going to do this for 39 more days, right? He's saying, pick something you can do and commit to it. So, I had a little handout for you if you want as I talk, because I'll be in the book, but this is the summary. So I'll hand this out too, it's in the book, but this way, if you want to write some things down because of the eloquence of the speaker, or because Gary says something really intelligent. No, wait, that probably won't happen. Maybe Dorothy will say something. That could happen.
Well, I doubt it.
Aren't you feeling well?
I don't learn anything when I'm talking, so.
That is something I learned right there. I like that one. So I'm just going to be quiet when Nathan Kelly talks. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start on page, get back to the first page. It doesn't have a number on it, but it's page 41. And it's right after the first sign prayer. And then you'll see it says, are you spiritually healthy? Chapter 2. And then right the next page, of course, you'll see is 42. Okay? And I want to ask you if you believe in what he says at the beginning. Because he makes a really fascinating point. Okay?
I hope not.
He says, when I'm spiritually healthy, nothing bothers me. Okay? When I'm spiritually healthy, in the third line, my wife can take forever to get ready. The stock market can drop 1,000 points. And we had a good example of that this week, I think. Pretty close to 1,000. The flight can be canceled. My favorite team can lose. My plans can fall apart. But he says, I'm able to remain calm and maintain a joyful outlook with a deep inner peace.
Sounds like your friend that you talked about.
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. A friend that had a near-death experience. After he had it, he was in a different place, right? He had a deep inner peace. But then the next line is the best one. I know when I am in a place of spiritual health, and I know when I am not. Boy, that's loaded. because we know when we're not. And here's how he describes it. One of the key indicators of spiritual health seems to be gratitude. When I'm spiritually healthy, I'm grateful. But when I'm not, even the smallest things can drive me crazy. At those times, I tend to be irritable, restless, and discontented. And I just thought the next one is so true. My attitude toward other drivers on the road between my home and the office is a pretty good barometer of how healthy I am spiritually. So true, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. So I thought that was great. And then he just goes on to talk about the struggles he has with, if he has a spiritual cold, that's not quite so bad. But then 3 lines down, but if I'm struggling with spiritual cancer, okay, something's really eating away at him spiritually, those indicators go off the charts, where people can do just the smallest little thing, and I get all twisted up inside. Anybody relate to this? Does that sound true? Yes.
No, me.
You relate? Yeah, isn't it true? Yeah. And then he says, so, in the next paragraph, when I'm spiritually healthy, the only way for me to be happy is for everything to go my way. And then he says, well, when does that ever happen? You know, you can be having that perfect day, and you seem like everything's going your way, and then guess what happens? You try to get on your computer, and it doesn't boot up at the right speed, or you can't get to the right place, so the thing you click on won't come up. And what do? Well, on a peaceful day, you wait. On another day is not so peaceful, what do? What's wrong with this thing? Right? And maybe it's not just a computer you're yelling at, maybe it's a person. Maybe it's someone that did something that irritated you. So he says at the end of that first paragraph, learning to be joyful even when things don't go your way is one of the ongoing invitations of the spiritual life. And then 2 paragraphs down, anyone can be happy when things go their way. Anyone can be happy when they get what they want. But part of our inheritance as children of God is a way of life that allows us to be joyful even when things don't go our way. In the paragraph I skipped, kind of in line with some of the things I said in my homily morning, the second line, the world says the key to happiness is getting what you want and having things go your way. So as a result, we spend so much time and energy trying to control people and situations. In the process, we make ourselves sick and miserable. Not to mention the suffering this type of behavior inflicts on everyone who crosses our path. I have a wonderful sister, and I talk about her once in a while. We were up there for Christmas, and she did everything so well. I mean, she's just awesome. She makes everything special for everybody. If you don't like lasagna, Gary, you like roast beef, right? Oh yeah, I'll make you roast beef then. And oh, you can't eat gluten? I'll make you something gluten-free. And you like this cookie or that brownie. Everybody is somehow noticed as special by her. Just as a little thing here, a little thing there, but everybody feels like, she did it just for me, you know? Now on the other hand, she tries to make everything so perfect that she's tense. And I would say, just relax, it's gonna be okay. And I always get the, right. I got things to do. And there's lists and there's check marks. Because she's really doing this perfect, you know? It's great. And everything goes her way, everything's great. But if something gets off the list, so as an example, I sat down in somebody's normal seat at the end of the table. So Kathleen sits there, not today. I said, well, she always sits there. Sorry, I'm her godfather, I'm sitting here. She can sit somewhere else. You can't sit there. I said, I'm not moving. Kathleen's looking at me like, really? I said, yeah, sit somewhere else. Get out of your comfort zone. Quit being so controlling. Boy, family life can be tough. They're looking at me like, right, jerk. And I'm going, no, there's no assigned seats, is there? Get people out of their comfort zone. Kind of makes them a little nervous, you know? Like, what if I said, maybe we should pray before this meal? I didn't, because I don't. But if I did, I would, what are you doing? This isn't you. You're not the head of this family. You know? So I didn't go that far. I should. But it's interesting when you know, kind of make people, you know, get out of their comfort zone a little bit. Challenging my sister, can you just relax and be happy? My niece didn't get to sit in her favorite seat. I think she's still 8. I think it was still okay. You know. Then I hugged her afterwards and said, I was just trying to teach Grandma something. Because Grandma was all mad at me, her grandma. My big sister, yeah. That was a go quite that far with prayer, because I don't want to, some of them are of the faith. Okay. But it's so interesting, you know, when we get in those zones where everyone can be happy when things go their way, but you just tweak it just a little bit, and they don't. So I think he's really right on there, you know. Where are we at when things just, somebody kind of gets us out of our comfort zone, you know, someone challenges something, or they create some suffering for us, right? So that's his first point, I think, is we should be joyful, even when things don't go our way, even when someone sits in my seat, even when someone cuts me off, or in traffic, or whatever, right? Okay, so then he goes into the next section, how do your best days begin? And what he finds at the bottom of page 43 is, and he says from the fourth line down, dynamic Catholics universally begin their day with some type of prayer or spiritual routine that focuses their day. So one thing he says is about the 7% of the people that are dynamic Catholics, they start their day in prayer, in some sort of a routine, okay? He comments above that when he starts off his days, usually he says, I know how my best days begin, and the way they begin is in prayer, but also just some quiet time to focus on the day, not just rush into things, okay? So, at the top of 44 he says, when the dynamic Catholics begin their day with prayer of some kind, however brief, that's good. And on a day when they don't follow their routine, they can feel the difference. They feel unfocused, stressed, less conscious of what's happening around them, less capable of giving those they care about the love and attention they deserve, and disconnected from God. And that's really the thing, right away reconnect in your relationship with God. And I think that's kind of what he's trying to get at, right away in the morning. Begin your day with God, be with God throughout the day, end your day with God. But be with him right from the very beginning. And that is the best way to start your day. Okay. Then he goes into the routine of prayer, and on page 45 in particular, he talks about the difference between someone who hopes to get around to prayer and someone who actually doesn't. And he makes the point that what he found was that they basically pray the same prayer, the same time, the same place, and in the same way kind of every day. Right? Now for some of us it may be Mass. We may get to Mass a little early, do something in particular before Mass starts, maybe we do something after Mass. For those of us that can't make Mass, maybe the way we open up our morning, maybe it's a prayer before a meal, but something just to get started in a routine is what he said that the dynamic Catholics do. And he has a great line, and this is so true for all of us, regardless of whether it's prayer or some other habit. He says at the bottom of 45, over time we're more likely to fall into the habit of not praying every day than we are to fall into the habit of praying every day. The reason is because we tend not to just fall into really good, life-changing habits. We tend to fall into bad habits, right? So if we don't intentionally try to be in a good habit, chances are we might not be in a good habit. We might end up with no habit at all, right? The good ones need to be sought out intentionally. So he's really in this intentional prayer. What you pray, when you pray, where you pray, and try to have that routine, because that, he says, is what's successful for these dynamic Catholics. Okay? And then as you go on, he says they have a routine within a routine. And there's a great line in at the bottom of 47. He says, four lines at the bottom, we spend very little time actually teaching people how to pray. Most of them don't have the routine down. They try something, it doesn't quite work. Maybe they try something else, doesn't quite work. They don't stick with it. So they don't really have a routine. They never really develop one. So at the top of 48, he says, the first sign of a dynamic Catholic is about helping people establish a routine of prayer. And one of the greatest gifts we can give is to help them develop a sustainable prayer life. Now, when I was a little kid, my mom, every night before I went to sleep, we said, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. And then we said, one Our Father, one Hail Mary, one Glory Be, and then we said, in the name of the Father, and I did that for years. Years. What do you think I do when I begin Mass when I'm not a deacon, when I'm just out in the pews? You know, I do the exact same thing. Where do you think that came from? Mom. You know, she connected me with that's what you do before you go to bed at night, and that's what we did before we started Mass. We always said those 3 prayers. Now sometimes that adds something like an act of contrition, or it might do something a little different, but that was, and I never really realized it until I read this, that although growing up, from the time I was little enough to pray, old enough to pray, that's what we did every night. Guess what happened when I went off on my own?
You stop.
I stopped because Mom wasn't there. Well, it was my routine with Mom, you know. So you have to kind of grow up and say, now I have to establish my own routine, you know. And so now it's different. Now I do it in the morning first thing and before I go to bed at night in particular. But it's different. I don't say those 3 like I used to, you know. But it was interesting how I connected with that right away. That Mom established a routine within a routine for me. You know, it was always, you know, when I was kind of tucked in is when I prayed. So that's really important, is to help people identify something in a routine that they can do. And he's going to help us with that in his suggestion. Okay? And then he has this one little one-liner that I think is really great on the right-hand side on 49 there. Nothing will change your life like establishing a solid routine of prayer. Now, remember the spectrum I talked about? That's on the left-hand side. That's on 48. Catholics approach prayer across a broad spectrum. So just try to honestly ask yourself where you are in here. There are some who identify themselves as Catholics but refuse to pray or involve God in the decisions of their lives. Others who pray in a mechanical way, but do so inconsistently and are easily distracted by the happenings of life. Still others who are very passionate about prayer from time to time, but they are erratic in their practice of prayer. Those who pray every day and try to involve God in the big decisions of their lives, but cut their time of prayer short as soon as it lacks immediate consolation or becomes difficult. Those who are committed to the practice of daily prayer, but it's a relatively new endeavor. And those who have firmly established an habitual routine of prayer through years of faithful practice and involve God intimately in the daily decisions of their lives. And there are those who yearn for a deeper and deeper relationship with God through prayer and have almost continuous conversation with Him throughout the day. Now, I can tell you, if you ask me which of those am I could say yes to practically every single one right now. Because sometimes I do pray very mechanically. And sometimes I do pray very passionately. And sometimes I'm very erratic. And sometimes I'm involving God in only the big decisions and not in the small ones. And sometimes I am involving Him in all the decisions. And it's just like Sybil. Remember Sybil? The 16 personalities? And maybe that's where you are. Maybe you find yourself in different places at different times saying, yeah, sometimes I'm kind of over here and sometimes I'm over here. And as you can see, the spectrum is definitely moving in the right direction the further along you are. So you want more answers on the end than at the beginning. But I think it's very easy, as he says, to not have a good habit by not practicing one, by not being intentional. It's easy to develop a bad habit. Okay, so that's a good question to just kind of ask yourself where you're at and what do you see as your tendency. What I can tell you one just for myself is sometimes I'm really, really passionate for a time and then I burn out and I have to recharge. And what I found is to recharge, I need to go to Mass. That gets me going again. So I can be doing prayer, I'm getting this like a bird, and I go, no, I'm going to go to Mass. Then I go to Mass, and it's like charges me up again. It's amazing. And so it kind of tells me all the time that Mass is central, which it is, of course, to our prayer lives. It gives it always a deeper purpose. It leads us to the Eucharist, deeper purpose. Okay. So it always, okay. Nope. Okay. So, next section is one of his great Matthew Kelly little phrases. The classroom is silence. Now he probably didn't make it up. He maybe will attribute to C.S. Lewis, but he talks about the screw tape letters. Anybody familiar with those? Okay. Screw tape letters are great. And when he came here, he talked about the screw tape letters. But essentially, the screw tape letters are letters from the senior devil to his apprentice. The senior devil is screw tape, the junior is wormwood, and that's at the top of page 50. And essentially, these letters are screw tape's advice to wormwood on how to keep human beings from developing and sustaining a relationship with God. And in the second paragraph there, Screwtape basically says, you're trying to do too much You know, you're trying to figure out new ways. In the last section here, he further finds that their plan is very simple. It's a better way just to create so much noise in the world that man can no longer hear the voice of God in his life. And when C.S. Lewis wrote it, he wrote it in 1940. Now think about the noise in 1940, and think about the noise in 2016. A little different, huh?
Not really.
It must be.
It's kind of noise.
Yeah, there's always noise, but look at the noise around us now. Just the daily noise that we never used to have.
iPhones.
Yeah. Just think about when you want quiet time, what happens? Your phone goes off, right? Your email buzzes on your computer. There's something on TV. The phone rings. How hard is it to get real quiet? How hard is it to be in the classroom in silence at this point? And so at the bottom of 50, he says, four lines down there, the noise has increased in the world, and as we have invited it into our lives, it has become harder and harder for us to hear the voice of God. And Thomas Merton said basically, it's not that we're bad, we're just too busy, we have so much activity, that by the time we're done with all our activities, our energy is gone. We just have too much activity, you know? And sometimes not only do we not hear the voice of God, we don't hear the voice of the person sitting across from us because they're texting. They're on the phone, right? You know, you're at a family meal and what happened? And the person's got to check their text, or, you know, they hear their email, or we're sitting watching something and I'll say, wow, what a great play, we're watching a football game, and Chris will be like, I'm on Facebook. You are? I thought we watched the football game. Oh, I'm not.
Hey, I hear the voice of God in
Yeah.
in that noise.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's good.
It's there.
Yeah.
I mean, even when it just everything looks bad, you know, the question is, if you look at it, it's like God's trying to teach you something if
Mhm.
you'll just pay
Okay.
attention.
So you're looking for God within, which is
Well,
great.
you can, I mean, sometimes it's hitting you over the head with a brick.
Yeah.
You just have to be pretty
Yeah.
dumb to not hear it.
Sometimes it's a noise right there.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
sometimes it is.
It is a noise, yeah. Yeah, you can
And
speak in
maybe
the
when
noise.
people are texting, they're texting God.
Maybe.
Who knows?
I don't.
Heard that. I'm like,
But here's how we conclude it. It's in the silence that God speaks to us. And we know this is true. And, you know, it can be in other things too, but sometimes it is in the silence where we have that quiet time, right? He says this diabolical plan to fill it with noise is pure genius for simplicity. An encounter requires the same simplicity. The more time you spend in silence, the more clearly you will hear the voice of God in your life. And so for many of us, it's just really hard to be in that classroom of silence and slow down enough to listen for God's word. Okay, and as Gary says, and beyond the silence is interesting how some form of noise lead us closer to God. So see, you were right.
It's
Okay?
good to be right.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
there's
sometimes-
so often.
Yeah,
Don't look for
yeah,
yourself.
it's right there on the next page.
It's good to be the king.
Yep, yeah. So he says, sometimes a song may lead you closer to God, sometimes conversations with people might inspire you, okay? Different things, okay? All right. He makes a wonderful point at the bottom of 51, and this is just really for married people, I think, but it's a wonderful little point. He talks about dating and how silence can be so excruciating when you're dating. And you always feel like you have to fill the time when you're with a person at first. He says on the top of 52, the silence can be excruciating. It can even be the kiss of death on the first date. But over time, two people often enjoy just being with each other in silence. Right? Neither has to say anything. They just learn to be. Now here's the deal with me. When I'm around my family for a week, I'm an extrovert. So when I'm around my family, I am just happy. And I like to drive my sister crazy, as I said, you know, things like that. But you know, it's just fun being around my family because I'm not around them. Chris has fun too, but at the end of 7 days of being with your family day and night, we're on the ride home. And guess what she wants? Complete silence. Would you like to go to dinner or not? No, I want to be home. Is it okay? Yes, you go out and play golf. Go. What she's saying is, I want to be alone. Because she's an introvert. And she is drained from 7 days of that kind of activity. Me, on the other hand, up, right? So I want to chit-chat about, hey, wasn't that cool about the time I sat in Kathleen's seat and Barbara got mad at me? Wasn't that funny? Ah! And she's like, I want quiet. So I've learned after 26 years, there's time when she doesn't want activity, she wants just just to be, right? Doesn't want to be necessarily alone, just wants to be and not have that activity, right? So he makes that point. And he brings it into us that in the next paragraph, a great life of prayer could be in the same way. Maybe it's excruciating to be alone with God, deep in thought, at first, like it was for David. But over time, you become comfortable with him, just like you do with a spouse, and you're just comfortable being in his presence. You don't have to say anything. He doesn't have to say anything. You're just comfortable being in God's presence. And maybe in the presence of a sunset, maybe in the presence of the Blessed Sacrament, a mountain, a stream, wherever your places are, just to be alone with God and be present. And just be completely content.
Do you remember there was a cartoon, a comic, Ricochet, who was a Westerner? And every now and then they would have him riding out into this beautiful Western panorama and saying, basically, this is my church.
Yeah.
This is where
Yeah.
I'm closest to God.
Yeah.
I thought it was a remarkable departure from the normal comic.
Yeah, that's where he connected.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where he found God, right? So, he has a great line at the bottom of 52, and this is hard for us to hear. One of the first requirements of the Christian life is to learn to be comfortable in our own company. We're so restless that we can't even be alone by ourselves. We gotta have something on. So what do? I have to turn the music on. I gotta turn the TV on. I gotta turn the computer. It's like, I gotta have activity or else I'm gonna go. And he says, if we're not comfortable in our own company, then we avoid silence, quiet, and aloneness, solitude. We're constantly seeking activity, right? He says we're constantly seeking the approval of others because we're afraid to be alone. And then on top of 53, in some ways, I suppose we're not really ready for life until we've learned to be comfortable alone. And the great classroom of silence is out of the silence and clarity emerges. And I think that's so true. And I was one of those people that could relate to this so well. I could just not stand not doing something. Anybody there? So you're at the beach, and everyone's laying around, you're going, what are we gonna do? You're like, I'm laying here. But what are we gonna do? We're gonna lay here. But I need to do something. Then go do it. But I'm laying here. Everybody in that situation? Or somebody just wants to sit around, can we do something? And I'm in that mode of doing activity, right? So, over time, I was able to be more comfortable with that. But he says a great line, it's out of the silence that clarity emerges. Okay, so this is the thing that Matthew Kelly, I think, is the very best at of all the authors that write about this. He talks about this personal clarity. This is, I think, his best strength. Personal clarity, okay? He has three simple questions, and they're kind of buried in the bottom of that first paragraph on 53. He says that people have a greater sense of who they are, what they're here for, and what matters most. So if you just ask a person those three questions, who are you? Why are you here? And what matters most? His claim is the people that can answer those questions have personal clarity.
Who can answer those and be accurate?
Who are you? I'm a child of God.
Great.
Why are you here? I'm here to love and adore God.
Okay.
What matters most? The Blessed Holy Trinity. They are my life.
Personal clarity. You got it. And I would almost answer the same way. The only thing I would add was, why are you here? Is not only to love God, but to love God's creation, right? Love neighbor. Yeah. It's almost the same thing. Yeah. Yeah. And what matters most? My relationship with God and neighbor. You know.
Isn't that somehow ingrained though from our catechism from 100 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, this
But
is
for many
great.
people, if they ask them, who are you? What would be the very first thing you would say there? Someone said, who are you? Would you think, right in your mind, what would be the first thing?
Oh, I would say I am a husband, a father, a retired
Yeah.
lawyer.
Roles,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You go right down the roles pretty fast. And for many people, especially when they're working full-time, they would say, I'm an engineer, right? Or I'm an attorney. doctor or whatever, right? And the next thing might be, and I'm married, and children, and. Does that seem simple? That's like a balancing act, right? A little attorney over there, a little dad over there, a little husband over there, a little friend over there, you got a mom and dad to take care of, maybe some other. Listen to Dorothy's answer, a child of God. Boy, that's not that simple. You know? And so Martha Keller really gets to the heart of it. How well can we answer these questions? And it's not that there's no wrong answer, there's no right answer either. But how well can we answer these questions with clarity? Because he says if we can answer these questions, and then he had also added a fourth question when he spoke to us. He said if you can answer these questions, you have a wonderful ability to say no. And I thought that was one of the greatest things he said. Because I say no a lot. And I always feel guilty because I'm Catholic. Father wants me to do something? No. Bishop wants me to do something? No. You say no to the bishop? Yes. I just said no. I really did. How can you do that? Because I have personal clarity. Make sense? But if I don't, and I don't really know who I am, then Matthew Kelly says what we do is we say yes to things we should say no to, and then we spend about the next 6 months trying to figure out how to get the answer to really be no, so I can get out of it. Would you serve on the parish council? Yes, Father. And then you don't go to the meetings and hope he kicks you off, kind of thing, okay? Or you just hope he gets over quickly, so you get over with. So he does a wonderful job, I think, of saying, if we can answer these questions, then we have personal clarity and we know what we're about. Okay? And of course, the answers should be in the context, like Dorothy did so well, of our relationship with God. It shouldn't be about who I am apart from God, but who I am with God. Yeah.
But this ties well to what you said today, divinity versus humanity, linking those two.
Yes.
Dorothy says she is a child of God. That's the linking, between the human and the divine. Gary says he's a father, he's a lawyer. He's human, but he knows his roles were given by God.
Yes.
So, if you can make those click.
Make those connections, exactly. Yeah.
And she and I are thinking along the same lines.
Absolutely.
It seems like it's all a matter of perspective. So many things are a matter of perspective. She's looking at it from a religious perspective. From a religious perspective, the answers are simple. It makes everything boil down. The big philosophical question, why are we here? Why do we have life? Oh, it's to honor God. Well, then if that's all we did, we wouldn't last very long.
Or we wouldn't fulfill our call.
No. I mean, we'd be like the Shakers. Don't. One generation. So that's clearly not the only reason we're here.
Right.
It's not just to honor God, because maybe we honor God in different ways, like she said, to combine the two things.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to pick on Dorothy.
Oh, no, that's right.
But her situation.
No, I love it.
No. But her life is more simplistic. She
Right.
is not currently married.
Yeah.
She doesn't
Right.
have children. So it makes it easier to be simplistic.
I'm older and wiser.
Well, you're not that much old, but you may be much wiser. But I mean, see what I'm saying? I mean, you don't have those roles.
No, everything is proper perspective.
Well, yeah, perspective.
And how you look at things.
Right.
Now, see, I'm sitting here thinking, I wonder how an atheist would answer those
Well, that's what I'm saying. An atheist can answer the
Yes.
exact same way. See, an atheist could say, I want to be a good father and a good husband and a good employee and I want to be a good friend and write down the list, right? Now, here's what I think would be different, is I think what we're called to is to answer this not from my own potentiality, but from God's calling, from what He wants me to be. And that would make the difference. So what I would say is something like this. I would say, in the context of being a father, what kind of father does God want me to be? And husband, and so on. And then I work that into that context of being a disciple of Jesus.
Yeah, atheists can be very moral
Right.
people.
They can.
I mean, Confucius was not a God-fearing person
Yeah.
necessarily,
Yeah.
but if you follow his
Yeah.
principles, you're going to find, gee whiz, it comes out a whole lot like Christianity.
Yeah. So that would be the biggest difference, I think, is what we would be called to in our faith, is to put these questions in the context of our relationship with God. So when I did this the very first time, I would list these things out, and then I realized, if I just put the word Christian in front of each one of those, it would change the way I behave. Because as a Christian father and a Christian husband and a Christian employee and a Christian friend, I would begin to take a different perspective. Remember this morning in my homily I said, as a Christian father, what's one of my responsibilities? To help my children get to heaven. Help my wife get to heaven. Maybe help my employer be more Christian and lead people to God. Maybe be a friend that would help someone develop a relationship with God, right? But if I don't put the word Christian in there, I can still be a great one of all of these, but not fulfill my calling that God gave me, right? I can still be a good father and so on. So that's kind of the difference. I think that's what he's kind of getting to is, can you get that personal clarity? So then, and it's funny, you can say no to the things that matter least. See how he's always trying to simplify. So you're not 100 things, you're 3 or 5. You know, and you really boil it down to something more narrow. And how many a few weeks ago I compared to Martha and Mary. You know, and I talked about that a bit. Martha being too scattered, anxious about the many things. Mary sitting at the feet of Jesus, knowing the one thing necessary is a relationship with Jesus. Kind of that kind of mentality. Those two spectrums of scattered versus focused. You know, and I think that helps us. So he basically comes out with the statement though, when you know those things, okay, then you can spend time alone with God. You know what you're about. You're not scattered. You can be focused on what you're about. Okay. Okay. And then a great line on the top of 54. Second one. It is in the silence that we find God and our true self. And that's Thomas Merton, our true self. You know, who am I really? And the answer is only who I am really in relationship to God. Merton says we discover God as we discover ourselves, and we discover ourselves as we discover God. Can't do them separately. We do it in union with God. Okay. Okay. So the next few pages he talks about if you could just get people to spend 10 minutes a day. Doesn't sound like much, but that's his big thing. He's saying, I just want you to try to spend 10 minutes a day. All right.